guys, this is Jennifer with Dr. Marketing Tips, and I am here today to talk to you briefly about online reputation management. Now, Warren Buffett says it's best. He says that it takes 20 years to build a reputation and about 5 minutes to ruin it. Now, I talk to a lot of practice managers and a lot of marketing folks all the time in my day-to-day job working with medical practices. And while I think I understand fully what reputation management is all about, I'm not sure that everybody else does at times. And that's because when I talk to people more and more and I say, all right, what are you doing to maintain your reputation? And they tell me, look, we've gone to health grades and we've claimed our profile, or we've, we monitor what's being said about us on Rate MDs and Vitals and things of that nature. And that's pretty much it. It's like practices think they can subscribe to something that sends them an email once a day just in case they get a negative review. And that's about it. And reputation management is so much more than that. So I thought today we would just take a couple minutes to try to look at it from a big picture perspective. And you probably have all of these elements already in place in your overall reputation management. If not, you're probably missing one or two. And at that point, we'll make sure you have a clear idea of what you've got to be doing so that you can go out there and manage your practice and manage the reputation of your doctors. So if you take a look at this graphic, the woman is working on a large machine. Now, this machine, let's say, for the sake of example, is your practice, and the machine is churning out every element that makes up your reputation. And the machine can be impacted by outside influences like weather, or, like the roads are clogged and people can't get to the practice in time, or who knows what, disgruntled employees and things of that nature. But essentially, if you keep the machine well oiled, you take care of it, you change the belts, then the wheels keep turning. And as long as the wheels are turning, your reputation is doing okay. It's when one wheel falls off or one screw is loose or something like that, that it affects the entire machine. Meaning, if you're not covering all the basics as it relates that feed into managing your reputation, then your reputation and your practice won't run as smooth as they need to. So keep this picture in mind as we progress. But the idea is there's wheels, and all the wheels are turning, and they together, when they turn successfully, they make up a positive reputation. So I've broken it into a handful of concepts, most of which I'm sure that you're doing already. But the first wheel of reputation management is your profile management and your monitoring. Your next wheel is the ongoing maintenance and of the important information that's out there about you and about your practice. The next is website management, then followed by social media management, and ultimately by content creation. So let's talk a little bit about profile management and monitoring, which is what 9 times out of 10, when I talk to a practice manager, this is what they believe that they're doing to manage their online reputation. But the fact is, there's now more than 60 different websites where you may have a profile that's been created for you. Yes, their health grades and their vitals and their Rate MDs, but those are just the tip of the iceberg. Although I will say this, if you're flipping out right now because I just told you there's 60 different websites, don't. As we've always said, go to Google, search yourself. Whatever shows up in those first couple of pages, that's where you need to be paying full attention. Don't discount your listings on websites like Yelp and on Google. That's because Yelp is the number one growing review site out there. And a lot of those of those 60 different websites, probably 45 to 50 of them are pulling their listings directly off Google. So if you go out there and you make sure that Google is accurate and has all your accurate information, then chances are you'll have a lot of accurate information across these different websites. And as much as we like to say that this process is becoming more and more automated, it still requires daily monitoring of what people are saying about you and about your practice and about your doctors. And you should have a policy in place that you can respond in less than 24 hours, give or take. Typically, I'll receive a automated response from the company that we use, which is Review Concierge, telling us that there's a new update on one of our profiles. And then it takes me another 24 hours to get a response approved by a particular physician. So you should have a game plan to do it in 24 hours, but sometimes if you do it in 24 hours, by the time you get the notification, it could still be 48. So there's really two types of of profiles, and we really encourage you on the left-hand side here is a claimed profile versus an unclaimed profile. And I really encourage you to take the time to go out there and claim your profiles. It takes quite a bit of time. It could take several hours per physician, and it could be something that you need to check on a regular basis. But it doesn't cost any money typically. And what you need to do is go out there. You see the one on the left. He's got a photo of the physician. Everywhere there's an arrow is customizable information that you can go out and make sure it's accurate, so that when you have a potential patient that's looking for you or looking to schedule an appointment or looking to leave you a review, they're getting accurate information. The profile on the right, the unclaimed one, whether you like it or not, these websites are out there making profiles for your practice and your doctors. And this unclaimed profile is pulling from some NPI database. So on occasion, we'll run into, probably 50% of the time, we will go into these unclaimed profiles and they'll have inaccurate information, whether it's an old office location, whether it's outdated educational background information, whether it's a subspecialty that's completely off base, not something that the physician practices in. So we encourage you to go out there and claim those profiles. That's really the first step in managing your online reputation. So let's talk about monitoring and responding to negative reviews. It's important to respond to these negative reviews in a timely manner. How I said before, sometimes it takes 24 hours for me to get a notification that there's something new out there, and then another 24 hours just to get it approved and get it up there. So it's helpful to have a canned response ready. What I mean by that is something that you've got written up, 2 or 3 different options that you can tweak, that you know it's going to get approved quickly and you can get it out there. It's important to offer a solution toward resolution, but not necessarily to accept the blame. What I mean by that is, you don't know what actually happened. There's 5 sides to every story, so you don't want to accept blame, but give your patients, when you're responding, a phone number and the name of a person that they can pick up the phone and call. It makes people feel better. And also when you've got folks that are out there looking to schedule that first appointment, they see that you're responsive to patients no matter what. We do this all the time. 99 out of 100 times, nobody picks up the phone and calls. It's the idea that the other group, the patients that you don't have yet, are actually seeing it. And again, there's just no truly automated option for doing this yet. Again, we use a third-party company for our notifications, and we've had a conversation with them about automating the response portion, and literally it would just be a matter of sending them the response and getting them to do it for us. And so for us, that's not an option, and I don't think it's an option for much of anybody else, especially when you start thinking about what it takes to get these responses approved and the legwork that goes into finding out what truly happened in these cases. Unless you have somebody that understands the practice or that is in medical offices on a regular basis, it's very difficult to make this an automated option for you. Understand the difference between private and public reviews. A public review is something that you might see on RateMDs, where somebody comes, they're disgruntled, they come over there, they leave a review kind of against the practice in general. You've got a day, 24 hours, maybe 48 hours to get back to them. It's something that you've probably already lost that patient, and they've decided they're so negative on the practice, they're going to go out there and anonymously leave a review. That's a public review. Everybody can see it. It's important to get out there and to put a response in so that potential future patients see it, but it's not going to change the world for you. However, private reviews are completely different. These are the types of reviews that we see on Facebook. These are like pure customer service complaints. And you have an opportunity when you receive a private feedback from a patient, because Facebook is not an anonymous system, you can literally look up the name of the patient and go find out what happened. You can reach out to that patient, whether it's through that private message or picking up the phone and calling them, and provide them with a direct line of somebody that can solve their problem right then. You don't want to share medical information. We all know that. You don't want to, exchange true information about a particular case, online. But you can have a very one-on-one conversation or a one-on-one interaction through these private messages. And if they've sent you a private complaint, chances are you haven't lost them yet as a patient. So the understanding the difference between the importance of a private versus public is very important. So all 60 of these different sites have minor differences as it relates to their policies and procedures for trying to remove negative reviews. Some sites will let you remove them just get on there and do it. Whether you're claimed or you're not claimed, some sites will let you have 3 over the course of the lifetime. Some will say, go pound sand. We're not letting you remove anything. So you want to be careful to dispute reviews where it makes sense. I say that because RateMDs only allows you to do 3 removals. And so you don't want to remove one just because the doctor felt like, oh, this one's the end of the world, when you know that you only have so many, and you want to make sure that you're responding, let people see the responses, and you can hide those reviews. And before you go after and try to get a site to go out there and remove something negative about your practice or about your physician, make sure you have all your facts together, because they're going to ask questions, and you got to be able to answer a little bit at least if you're going to even encourage them to remove those negatives for you. So let's talk about maintaining critical information about you online. This is so important because oftentimes the very first thing people will do, potential patients, is they're going to do a search for a particular practice or a physician or whatnot. So you got to make sure your addresses and your telephone numbers and your photos are correct and they're displaying correctly. You want to make sure that each of your office locations have their own listing and that information is listed correctly. Let me rephrase that. Each of your office locations are going to have their own listing. So make sure you have your hands around that, and you can go out there and make sure the information is correct across all offices. This also applies to your doctors. There is, when you search, depending on the way that you're searching your physician and your practice or your specialty, there is a different listing each time. And so sometimes you could have a practice with 20 doctors, 5 locations, and you could literally have 100, 125 different online profiles. It's important that you keep track of them, that eventually that you go down the list and make sure that they're claimed properly. A wrong address can make for very frustrated patients, and it's it's kind of that first thing, like nothing says I don't care like a wrong address. This is actually an office that I looked up recently. I was with a family member and they were in need of a digestive doctor. And I know for a fact that this doctor is open and successful and everything else. And I pulled it up on Google just to see if I could get the phone number, and it said permanently closed. Now, I sent this on to the marketing coordinator, but this is the type of things that we have to be looking for. And this isn't the first time I've seen this in the last few weeks. I've seen this quite often actually lately. I don't know if Google is cleaning up some of these listings or ones that are underutilized, but it's something that you want to pay attention to, because nothing says permanently closed. Nothing says I don't care like permanently closed, and it really could be a loss for your business. And it's critical to review all your accounts and keep your information current. And that's, we see it all the time when we have a practice that maybe is expanding with a new office, or they've shut down an office recently. It's tough. It's kind of like the last thing that people remember to do is to go onto Google and change all the map functionality. But it's critical because you don't want to frustrate your patients, especially if you've changed office locations and you have a patient who jumps on their phone, turns on Surrey, MapQuest, puts in goes to the website, clicks it on the Google Maps. Google Maps takes them to the location, through the GPS. They get there and there's a sign on the wall that says that you've moved. There's nothing worse than doing that. So it's so important to maintain that critical information about you. So being proactive on your website is kind of the next wheel in the machine and the cog of reputation management, because your website is often your first impression with a patient. I know for me, anything I do, especially if it's new, the very first thing I do is go online to see if I can find something that works for me. So you want to make sure first that your website is mobile friendly. And I say this because Google has recently changed their algorithms that they are only, they're giving priority to those websites that are mobile friendly. And it's pretty easy to have a mobile friendly website at this point. So if you don't have one, I encourage you to find somebody to do that for you. Make sure that all your information is current and that people can find what they're looking for when they're looking for it. Corey and I talk about it all the time in our webinars, but there's like a handful of things that your patients are going to be looking for on your website, and pretty much everything else is fluff. One, they're going to be looking for your phone number. They're going to be looking for directions on how to get to your office. They want to know what offices you have and whatnot. They might want to look at pictures of your doctors. That's why good headshots are important. They're definitely going to be looking for access to your portal, and they're going to be looking for an opportunity to click a button to request an appointment. So it's so crucial that you have the things that they're looking for front and center. so that your potential patients can find it and you can leave them a positive impression. Because your website, ultimately, it's critical for helping you shape your online identity. And everything you do on your website gets listed up in search. And so that's why maintaining your website and having a content plan is so critical. You want your website and a content management system like WordPress. That's what we use. You got a blog post, you got something like that, you put it up there. You also optimize it for search using the plugin that's available. Boom, shows up on the front page of Google in a couple of weeks, pushes down those negative reviews. I can't stress enough the importance of having somebody out there doing security backups for your website. And this really does potentially impact your online reputation and the practice as a whole. We had a practice we were working with recently who called us up late on a Friday and said, I don't know what happened to the website. And we went to their website and it was literally a jihadist person, black background, red, greens, scary, dark, deep colors, angry colors with a machine gun saying, we have hijacked your website and we are taking it over. And it was frightening. And it was because they hadn't had a security backup in a while and they hadn't updated their WordPress theme. And so I can't encourage it enough, because maybe you don't go to your website every single day, but sometimes if you don't go and you've been hacked, 2, 3, 4 days, couple weeks that you don't even know that's happened. And that's potentially losing those potential patients and also impacting your reputation. And make sure that your forms are kept current and they're very clean and there's no misspellings. I saw a form recently that was put together sloppily, and I won't forget about it. And it impacts that overall reputation and the footprint for the reputation. The forms I'm talking about are your appointment request forms, the portal access form, and your contact us form on your website as well. So our favorite topic, it seems, or least favorite for those of us that are in social media every single day, is social media management. I'm not talking about having a page for your practice where you go and post just photos, about what's going on at the practice. I'm talking about patient reviews and how they happen on social media. And I find more and more that patient reviews, especially ones that have lots of engagement and that are viral, are happening on social media more than anywhere else. And the thing is, they're instant with a large reach. They offer immediate feedback, both good and bad. And this so-called feedback is from people's trusted friends. So even if it's a negative comment about your practice, people believe it because it's from somebody that they trust. Social media also shows up really strong in search results. This includes these reviews. So keep that in mind, because you could spend all this time and effort making sure that your website's optimized for SEO, that you have a clear content strategy, that you're out there dealing with these reputation review sites, but you've decided for some reason you're not getting onto social media. But guess what? Even if you're not on social media, your patients are, and they're talking about you, and those negative conversations that they're having are kind of counterbalancing everything that you just made an effort to do. And social media, truly, especially the negative stuff, has the largest bearing on word of mouth and trusted referrals. When somebody gets on social media, on Facebook, and it's a mom from a community who's completely trusted and gets on and starts bashing her pediatrician, other moms listen. So when you're out there with your social media strategy from a managing your online reputation standpoint, make sure that you are keeping your profiles current and that you are paying attention not only to what people are saying, but that all your information is accurate. When you're posting to your own Facebook page, make sure that you're encouraging the audience participation. Now, you and I, we all know, for those of us that are doing this and we wear a million hats, social media done right, especially when you're trying to engage an audience, is time intensive. But that investment that you make in your time will pay off in dividends. And it's really tough to monitor everything that's being said. That's why you can hire a third party to send you notifications every time something's said about you. But if you have your phone near you and you once in a while, a couple times a day, you might take a quick look at it, for the most part, you'll understand what's being said about you. So here's a quick case study on an apartment community right outside of Orlando, Florida. And this was actually in the front page of the local paper there. And you can see it's Windermere K. They have 115 reviews and 1 star out of 5. And what happened here, and kind of the lesson to be learned, is that you can't just ignore social media. And you certainly can't try to tell your patients that they can't go on and leave you these reviews, because just like anything else, people are going to do what they're going to do. And the best you can do is be proactive and engaging and try to make it a positive experience. So this apartment community decided that they were going to put in a gag clause in their lease agreements that if you as a resident went online and gave them a negative review, you could be liable for up to $10,000. Well, what do you think happened? I'll tell you what happened. It was a complete backlash. We got negative review after negative review, and nothing positive came out of it for this apartment community. In fact, if they were asking a PR firm right now, I'm sure they were told, paint the building, change the name, change the incorporation paperwork, get rid of anything and everything that traces this, because anybody at all looking to move into an apartment in this community is going to go online and find thousands upon thousands of negative reviews about this place and about their property management team. So take that as a lesson learned. You can't try to squash what people are saying. You can't try to kind of black it out. You have to take it on head on, and you have to have a game plan. And that game plan is creating content and good content, because consistent quality content helps with your search engine optimization. And when your content gets picked up on search, that negative stuff that we all fret over can get pushed down further and further on the second, third, fourth page of Google. Something that we do is we use those positive patient reviews to create content. And then it actually is helpful because it helps, second fold is it when you use it on social media, it's great from an engagement perspective. So here's one that we picked up from RateMDs for a group that we work with. Literally, somebody went on RateMDs and left a positive comment for one of the doctors. We grabbed it, put it into Canva, and from there created some images for the client and then put it on their social media channels. So there's different types of content. These are the ones that we use most often. They're very easy, inexpensive, easy point of entry and inexpensive point of entry. But you've got simple blog posts, things like 5 nutritional habits to help you sleep better, something that you could every day of the week kind of shell out yourselves or get somebody inexpensive to write them for you. Video testimonials are great with patients. When you have a happy patient, get the patient to agree to a quick 10-minute interview. You get about 2 minutes of video. These things pay dividends year over year. Procedure videos about a particular procedure or who might be eligible for a surgery, things of that nature. Doctor videos are always a hit, especially getting to know the doctor, things of that nature. People want to know who they're going to make an appointment with. They want to feel this connection with their physician, and there's nobody better than the physician himself than to create the video and help manage his own reputation. And then graphics. What I mean by graphics is you don't have to spend hours and hours on creating this great content like this infographic over here to the right that you see. You can do some pretty easy graphics, but people are more visual, and you can get the point across with a quick video, quick graphic that says what you need to say and link it through to your blog post on your website, and there you go. So some of the graphics that we do a lot of are infographics. You can go to Canva now, and they have a free service where you can do infographics with them. And social media graphics like the one I showed you before on the review that the patient left. So let's finalize with 6 things that you can do right now to make sure that the wheels keep turning and they stay well oiled from a reputation management standpoint. First thing you want to do is you want to search for your practice thoroughly on Google and other relevant search engines. You want to know where you rank so that you can figure out what your game plan is. Second, you want to claim all of your profiles on the rating sites and the business listings. Remember, there's more than 60 of these sites now. So my suggestion is that you focus on the first couple of pages of Google. Whatever shows up, you start there. Next, you want to establish and link all relevant social media channels. What I mean by this is on your website, you've got a little button for Facebook. Make sure it links directly back to your Facebook page. You got a little button for LinkedIn. Make sure it links in there. When you got an article that you're writing, make sure that you're linking back to your pages. You're creating these links so that when the search engines come around, that they validate that you are authentic, and it helps raise your profile on search. You want to take a few minutes to evaluate your existing website. If your existing website is not mobile friendly, then you need to immediately go out there and find somebody who can help you get it mobile friendly. And take a look at it from your patient perspective. Are the things that patients are looking for, are those items front and center? Because you want to make a positive impression when it comes to your patients. And then you want to create content and establish a schedule. What we do is a couple times a year, we sit down and we talk about all the different clients that we work with. And we literally come up with a game plan of 1 to 2 pieces of custom content per month per practice. Sit down, take a couple of hours. You can knock out the entire year ahead of time, and then you create a plan, and then you work the plan. And finally, you want to optimize your content. You want to make sure that you're using hashtags that make sense. You want to make sure that you are utilizing your website and optimizing it for search engine optimization. You want to do keyword research when you are writing content for your practice. Ultimately, though, all of those things, when it comes to optimizing your content, the first and foremost is just to create good quality content. You know what your patients are looking for. Create good quality content, and the other stuff will come. Of course, you're going to optimize it. Of course, you're going to link it properly. But create quality stuff that you as a potential patient would be looking for when you're making an appointment with your doctors. So those are the elements that make up, those are the different wheels of reputation management. And as long as the wheels are well oiled and they're all turning in the right direction, then you're going to have no problem at all maintaining a positive online reputation and attracting and retaining more and more patients every single day. So with that, this is Jennifer with Dr. Marketing Tips. And as always, it's been a pleasure. Thanks a lot. Stay tuned.